you thinking about moving to Japan but not sure if you'll be happy here? Maybe you don't know if you're suited to live in Japan, a country so different from your own. Find out here in this video whether or not you have the traits to be someone happy living in Japan. Japan is like a new lover. After you find an initial interest in them, you go to their social media and look at their profile. They seem so dazzling, unique, and unlike anything you've ever seen before. You fantasize about this new lover, creating an image of yourself happy by their side. It's your ideal life. When you actually get to know your new lover, you might realize that they're different from what you imagined. They have flaws, their morals might be different from yours, and you're suddenly put off by how cold they can seem. Their image online seems like a different entity from reality. Japan is like this, as the internet can distort the image into some sort of magical land. With the bright lights of Tokyo, quirky anime characters, and talking robots, it makes it seem like a distant world, unattainable. Many people can only dream of going to Japan. This one-of-a-kind charm that Japan has is what draws people to the nation. Whether it be the people, the food, history, or language, thousands would move to Japan every single year with the hopes of starting a new, exciting life. You may be thinking of moving to Japan, but you're unsure if you enjoy it. You don't know if you're suited to be in a country so different from your own. Look no further. Here are 7 traits of someone who will be happy living in Japan. The first trait is thick-skinned. Being thick-skinned is perhaps the most important trait of someone moving to Japan. Otherwise, you always feel like you're being judged. Considering Japan is an extremely homogeneous nation and has been since its creation thousands of years ago, many Japanese people still hold prejudice towards those of different races and different backgrounds. Blatant racism in the form of talking about your appearance in front of you or outright staring at you is pretty common depending on how non-Japanese you look. If your skin color, your hair, your height, or other features are different from a typical Japanese person, it will stand out and people will look at you. Most comments tend to come from passing children who have no filter. Usually you can brush it off, but sometimes it can be a daily thing and become exhausting. It takes a thick-skinned person to respond with patience and not let these kind of remarks get to them. Being able to handle this and still go on with your life will lead to a tougher personality and success in Japan. Okay, the second trait to be happy in Japan is your willingness to learn Japanese. A happy man in Japan is a man who learns Japanese. Unlike other countries with large communities of bilingual people, Japan doesn't have any other common languages other than the one and only. Although English is used commonly for things like advertising and caution signs, the majority of people in Japan don't understand more than the absolute basics. So someone who doesn't want to learn Japanese might find that they're constantly frustrated of not being able to understand what's happening around them. While the country is slowly starting to cater more services in other languages, the majority of essential procedures like opening a bank account or looking for an apartment are widely in Japanese. If you want to truly dive into and immerse yourself in the culture, you need to learn Japanese. Only then will you be able to fully enjoy all it has to offer. Alright, the third trait is improving yourself as a person. A lot of people will move to Japan in the hopes of hitting Japanese clubs and picking up some beautiful Japanese women. Japanese nightlife is fun, of course, there's no doubt about it, but when one's entire goal for coming to a country is to hit on girls, it can only lead to disappointment. Setting a goal to improve your internal self, like becoming a better businessman or becoming self-sufficient, can change your perspective when living in Japan. You'll be able to grow as a person as your life becomes more developed with the amount of effort that you put in, and you'll be surprised by how rewarded you'll feel when your hard work is being paid off. So many people move to Japan hoping to have fun every day with Japanese locals, but they fail to put in any effort of bettering themselves so that they could better understand Japan as a whole. It takes a lot of patience to be able to fully integrate into society, but Japan is a place that values hard work and eventually it will all pay off. The fourth trait is willing to follow rules. Japan is a very orderly country. People who appreciate order and cleanliness will be happy in Japan. But on the other side of that, people who are stubborn in their own ways or morals will find it hard to live here. As foreigners, there's a tendency to continue doing things because that's what we do in our country. No matter where you go, you should try to honor the societal rules, but in Japan, this is especially important. Unfortunately, the Japanese look down harshly on those who don't follow the rules. It may be something as small as making a phone call on the train. While it might seem like an innocent chat, it's frowned upon within Japanese society. A Japanese person would think someone who is using their phone on the train is loud and it is discouraged. That being said, Japan isn't one of the safest countries in the world for no reason. The majority of people follow rules when you live in Japan. More than that, they value the norm and will try their best to obey societal expectations. The fifth trait is adventurous. An adventurous person would be happy happy in Japan. With hundreds of little shops and underground venues and places, there's no end to finding cool new spots to go. When socializing with friends, most people like to go drinking together as a way to get to know each other better. In fact, hanging out at someone else's place is reserved only for the closest of friends, and you find that most people out and about even just wandering around the streets. Particularly in Tokyo, it can be difficult to meet new people despite it being one of the major cities. That's probably because Japanese people don't typically participate in small talk, and instead they go check out different bars, restaurants, outdoor spots, and different activities and festivals and attractions to go to. These are the best places to meet people. Trait number 6 is easily adaptable. As a foreigner, there are bound to be things you won't understand when you move to Japan. There are some everyday things that seem so bizarre and have been deeply rooted in what is now known as the usual. From ATM machines charging you withdrawal fees to porn magazines being out in the open at convenience stores for anyone to see, there are a lot of questionable aspects about Japan. The best thing for someone to do is to accept these changes in their daily lives and try to adapt to it as much as possible. You should try to understand why things are the way that they are, and this is the best way to learn about the Japanese culture. It's important to be open-minded in a lot of these situations because things might be surprising to you. Trait number 7 is to be tenacious. Tenacity is important for those who are planning to start a career in Japan. It's infamously known that foreigners either work in restaurants or as English teachers when they first arrive in Japan. If you can't speak Japanese well and don't have a visa sponsorship, then there really aren't that many options for you. A lot of foreigners come to Japan and just take up a teaching job just to be able to come to Japan, find themselves depressed as the repetitive days of reading an English textbook to students tend to get boring real quick. But that could just be the first step for you. Once you leave the English teaching field, you'll be able to challenge yourself. Along with your successes, there'll probably be failures along the way, and it's expected considering you're working in a foreign environment. Ask questions, work harder, make a fool out of yourself in Japanese, but then get back up and keep trying. Many people in Japan will be willing to help you. They're accepting of those people that try their best to speak their language, and you might find that the people that you work with will be the source of encouragement and motivation. In Japan, it's not uncommon for someone to work at one company for the rest of their lives. That means that there's room for mistakes and people are expecting you to make them. Tenacity is what you'll need to keep improving. Do you think you'll be happy in Japan? Let us know in the comment section down below. Because of social media and popular mainstream culture of Japanese games and anime and manga, it can distort the image of Japan to the world. This leads to people from all over the world wanting to come and live in Japan with big hopes, with hopes of exploring a new culture or to live in one of the major cities in the world. It is truly amazing and there are lots of things to do here in Japan, but make sure to keep those 7 traits in mind. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Don't forget to press the bell notification for more videos about Japan coming your way. You can find more free resources and videos in the description box down below. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.